It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a group of 10 to 14-year-olds in Washington County helping out the community. It's Camp SuperHero. Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. We did it. We're here. High five. Slap, slap, slap. I'm Fuzz Martin, and this is a show all about the fun and positive things going on in and around Washington County, Wisconsin. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you listening. On this week's episode, I sit down with Sheldon Brennemann. She is the Community Events Specialist at the Volunteer Center of Washington County. For those of you who don't know, the Volunteer Center is the driving force behind the Hub Social Good Brews coffee shop in West Bend. And in full disclosure, I'm also a volunteer on the board of directors for the Volunteer Center and the Hub. Today, Sheldon and I focus on one program in particular at the Volunteer Center, one designed to get 10 to 14-year-olds excited about volunteerism. It's called Camp SuperHero. All right, Sheldon Brennemann joining me right now from the Volunteer Center of Washington County and Camp SuperHero. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am so good. I appreciate you coming on, and you're my first guest on this show that's not my wife. So if I have any technical issues, I apologize because we're just getting this all set up, and I'm trying to be forgiving of myself for not having audio perfection all the time. So how long have you been with the Volunteer Center now?
I've actually only been with the Volunteer Center, well, as an employee for about 4 months. I started out as volunteering on Sundays with my husband, actually.
At the Hub?
At the Hub, yeah.
Okay.
And I'd say even before that, I was a Hub guest and would pick up some coffee to start my day. And then, my story, I feel like from there has just gotten bigger and bigger. We went from enjoying a Friday pick-me-up to volunteering on Sundays to eventually working here full-time.
Sure. And what drew you to volunteering with the Volunteer Center and the Hub?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, the story that we always tell is that John is my husband's name. When John and I would come in on Sundays, we would volunteer because it made us feel good and get us ready for the work week. Every time coming in, you could tell good things were happening at the Hub, and we just wanted to be a part of that electricity and community. And, that's really what hooked us in, and I've been here ever since, and so glad that I am.
Oh, very good. Well, I'm a board member with the Volunteer Center, and as a board member and as a person that's just in the community, I say thank you because doing good things, and it's a gem in our community to have something like this. So tell us a little bit now about your role. Like, what do you do at the Volunteer Center? Like, what is community engagement specialist? What does that entail?
Yeah. So there's kind of two pieces to it. The Volunteer Center is here to help support all of our nonprofit members. So that's kind of one piece, helping our nonprofit members through mobilizing different resources, finding volunteers. We've got a volunteer online portal. And then the second piece is engagement. So trying to offer different programs and events to try to meet the public as they are, where they are, and just to encourage them to volunteer. And where those two things collide, that's where my position lives. So really just trying to find the balance between the two.
Sure. Very good. While I was at the Hub for a meeting, we happened to be downstairs at the 303 Water Street location, and all of a sudden we saw a bunch of kids coming in and they were super happy. And that was a Camp SuperHero day, right?
Yeah. Yep. They were probably all dressed in yellow.
Yep.
That was Camp SuperHero. I used to be a teacher actually, which just makes me so excited for camp. Although camp is full and we actually are just finishing out our last 3 weeks this summer, Camp SuperHero is really designed for 10 to 14-year-olds,
okay,
led by 14 to 18-year-olds, and really just offering them different volunteering opportunities and learning about our nonprofits, trying to help just grow lifelong volunteers.
Yeah, to get them set up so they know what it means and to have some experience doing it. I think getting that first push is sometimes what it takes to get you hooked on helping others. What are some of,
Absolutely.
oh, go ahead. What are some of the activities that you guys do?
Yeah, so we've spent some of our days outside. Our very first camp, we were at Blue Lotus Farm and Retreat Center, and it was hot, so hot. But we have done things from planting pollinator gardens with Cedar Lake Conservation Foundation, to stuffing survivor bags for friends and making blankets for Project Linus. My goal this year was really to make sure that we are providing something safe, but also introducing some more nonprofits that aren't always our go-to. Um, so some days it's just serving one nonprofit, and some days it's started serving 10 or 12 nonprofits,
Sure.
depending on the activities.
Very good. And there have been more than 300 kids that have gone through this so far, right? And
Correct. I believe our total prior to this year was at like 345.
okay,
Our camps this year, we've got some, because we were planning this while COVID CDC guidelines were always changing.
sure.
Our smallest camp was of 20, and our largest camp this year has 39 kids involved in it.
What does it look like in a typical year that's not kind of clouded?
Yep. So we aim to get between 40 and 50 individual campers. They can't always come on one camp day. And then we aim for 10 to 15 teen leaders.
It's obviously full this year because you guys are in and doing it, but when is the typical sign up for Camp SuperHero?
Yeah, so we're going to be changing it just a little bit. Our goal is to have sign up ready by late January, early February. And when we first release that sign up, it's going to be available for campers who can come to all of the camps. So we're going to open it up first to those campers, and they'll get a free t-shirt. After that first wave, then March, April is when we'll release other dates, just so that way we can make sure to have the right numbers in the right spots. And then if kids come from one camp all the way up to all 9 or just under 9, then they can decide if they want to purchase a shirt as well.
Sure. Is that just a once a week camp? Is that how that works?
Yep. It's 3 weeks in a row per month of the summer. So June, July, August.
Okay.
We built in kind of an off week towards the end. And at first it was, in case there'd be an outbreak that gives us a little wiggle room. And now that we're going through it all, I think that break is just for me.
Well, you need that too. You need that kind of that balance. A typical day, like how does a typical day at Camp SuperHero start out?
Yeah, so our team leaders actually come first. They come in at 8 o'clock. And for that first 45 minutes, we're working on developing leadership skills. We're explaining what we're going to be doing for the day, things like that. They do any kind of set up, tear down for us. Campers arrive by 9. We really try to hop on the Do Good bus as much as we can. So, those first 15, 20 minutes, we're getting to know everybody. We hop on the bus. Our campers normally get a good 2.5 to 3 hours of really meaningful volunteer work. We come back on the bus and then we eat lunch. We ask campers to bring lunch bags and all of that good stuff. And so if we can eat it while we're volunteering, we try to do that. Otherwise, we come back to the hub and eat here.
What would you say is one of your most rewarding pieces of working with these kids in Camp SuperHero?
Oh, that's a great question. I really feel like children underestimate themselves and underestimate their capacity. And so I really enjoy when things are all kind of said and done. We're finishing up our project, whatever it may be. And we're cleaning everything up, and the kids are just tuckered out and they want to eat lunch and they're hungry. But then to be able to corral them all together and kind of say, but now look at what you did. Look at what made a difference. And just kind of seeing that reaction on their face and making them realize that they are, quote unquote, more than just a 10-year-old, but having them realize their own impact. That's my favorite, because in my mind, those moments that you have and when you hone in and you're showing them what they can do, that's what's going to make them lifelong volunteers.
Yeah, very cool. It's awesome. It's such a great thing in our community that, a lot of people don't know what Camp SuperHero is. They haven't heard of it, and hopefully more will now. But also just knowing the good that's coming out of the community and helping raise up kids so they're starting with a good base of volunteerism, I think is a great deal. And I thank you for being a part of it and showing people that. If somebody wants to volunteer to help out with Camp SuperHero, or if there's one of the older teens that wants to volunteer, how do they get set up?
Yeah, they can easily either email me or call me, 262-338-8256. Anyone can call that to talk to me to volunteer as an adult leader, or if they're just interested in other volunteering opportunities or the resources that we provide here at the Volunteer Center. I'd love to talk to anytime.
Very good. Awesome. And then again, if you go to volunteernow.net, you can learn more information, and hopefully you can volunteer as a listener and also get your kids involved in volunteering, and that would be great. And Sheldon, we really appreciate, one, all that you do for the community, and two, for coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, that'll do it for this week's show. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to everyone who listened to last week's episode. I was completely blown away by your support and encouragement. It felt so good. And I received so many great ideas for future episodes. I am excited for you to hear next week's show. I am looking forward to this. It makes me feel so good. If you have an idea for the show, please send it to 15withfuzz@gmail.com. That's 15 spelled out, FIFTEEN, with fuzz@gmail.com. New episodes every Monday. We'll talk to you next time on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.